Czech Republic at the beginning of a Hermetic adventure. I say Hermetic because I'm actually on a train to Opava, which is the hometown of the Czechoslovakian magician Franz Bardon. Now, Franz Bardon we only know through his writings. He wrote 3 very influential spiritual books. The first one called Initiation to Hermetics, then we have The Practice of Magical Evocation, and The Key to the True Kabbalah. But I'm here to try to find out who Bardon was himself, what he was like as a man, and perhaps learn a little bit more about his Hermetic training.
Have you got the knob?
Yeah.
So it's on this hill.
Yeah, it's called Gels is called Šibenica in Czech, so therefore the hill is called Šibenica.
Okay, that's where we. It's just going to do this so that people know that we're actually here and real. I'd like to, first of all, I was so happy to see Mr. Bardon. I forgot to say thank you. Thank you ever so much for coming and agreeing to talk to me.
Já mám obrovskou radost, že se s váma mohu setkat, takže bych vám chtěl říct.
Your father is a very inspiring but also mysterious figure in the West.
Váš otec je velmi inspirující, ale také tajemná osoba.
No právě. Můj otec říká, že pokud by ho chtěl někdo vyvolat pod jménem Frabato, takže to nepůjde.
My father used to say that if somebody wanted to evoke him under the name of Frabato, it wouldn't be possible.
Jeho jméno je jiný.
Because his name is different.
Okay. So they need to know his true name.
Takže to končí na Nanda.
Takže je třeba znát jeho skutečné jméno. Jak jste říkal, že končí?
Končí na Nanda.
It's ending with Nanda. It's ending with Nanda.
Ah, right.
To, co je předtím, nemůžu říct.
But he cannot say that.
Right. Have you ever had cause to want to evoke your father?
Pokusil jste se někdy vy evokovat vašeho otce?
Ne, já jsem ho neevokoval.
No.
But we were talking about the stage show, and of course, Frabato was his stage name. And you'd mentioned that he did lots of normal tricks and so on. Could Mr. Bardon tell me about some of the things he did in this stage show for people who were spiritually inclined and could see a bit deeper?
Takže my jsme se bavili o jeho vystupování. I participated only in one performance in one village, and it was mostly about hypnosis and common things such as eating an onion instead of an apple and so on. And the bigger things in his performances were described in his books.
Okay. Your father's become a hero to many people interested in these arts. What I'd like to know is, who were his heroes? What authors did he collect, and who did he look up to? Who inspired him?
Takže František Bardon se stal...
Co měl té fotografii, to Mahumtachta.
I don't know exactly who was his teacher. I think it was the person of whom he had the photo, probably Mahumtachta. And this photo is not here.
Mahumtachta.
My mother told me a story. Once they rode a bicycle to Hradec nad Moravicí, which is a town close to Opava, and they were going down the hill. And he suddenly asked my mother, "Have you seen him?" And she said, "Yes, I have." And he answered, "It was my teacher." And that man looked like a monk. But I don't know exactly who was it.
Oh.
Hebrew.
Yeah, so it could have been a previous teacher from a different time.
A mohl to být nějaký dávný. He said it was his teacher, and he materialized himself so much that even my mother could see him, even though she shouldn't have seen him probably. We talked briefly before we started recording about the mirror, magical mirror. In the book, in Initiation to Hermetic, we read of
was Mr. Bardon's father charging a mirror so powerfully that it actually breaks. So he makes a stronger one, and so we have this. Now we have this amazingly powerful strong mirror still here. Is there any mysterious events to this mirror since in the latter years?
Při tom natáčení jsme mluvili o tom zrcadle. I don't know, only Dr. Mann describes some stories or some events happening with the mirror when he was sleeping in the same room where the mirror was, but he doesn't specify it.
We've read about Mr. Bardon's, Franz Bardon's student, Dr. MK, in the memories of Franz Bardon, and he's it sounds like a very tenacious character. We imagine him in his Pathfinder uniform. He goes to say, "I'm the master student," and he really fights to learn. He sounds. Can Lumir tell us some of the memories of Dr. MK in his latter life after the story ends?
Tak my jsme se ve vzpomínkách
A od té doby došel pořád.
So when I was 40, my eyes were worsening and I had to start using glasses. So I talked about it with the Dr. MK, and he told me that he didn't have to use glasses at all because he did a magical ritual when he was young, and he did exactly this thing. He took a potato and digged a hole into it and poured some fluid condenser into it and influenced it in such a way that his eyesight remains good all the time, and then he hit the potato in the earth.
So that they would influence through
Yes,
the
and
elements.
it worked all his life.
Oh my word! Nice.
Ooh.
And
Viděl až do se smrti, bez brýle a dobře.
Until his death.
oh my word! Right. So it shows he was well trained.
Takže byl velmi dobře cvičený.
No to určitě, jako když dostal teda, pracovali s kabalou, že
He also worked with Kabbalah, so he achieved a lot.
We hear about photos. We hear about photos of spirit beings being taken by Franz Bardon. It's a very mysterious thing. It would like one of a centaur or a nymph. We want to. I was wondering if Mr. Bardon ever saw his father's photos in the
My
life.
jsme slyšeli o fotografii.
zatím můžete přeložit to.
So, Mr. Steiner from Austria, I don't know whether you know him, he's a writer, and
Yes, Rudolf Stein.
Emil Steiner,
Steiner Ogris, plus Ogris.
and Walter Ogris wrote a book on Franz Bardon right now, and he sent me some photos by email of some beings of the four elements.
Oh.
But I think that they could be fake because now, in the days of computers, everything is possible.
Yes, absolutely. I think I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, I know the people. Yes, so your father didn't have computers, so they had to be genuine.
Takže váš otec neměl počítač, takže to muselo být pravé.
No, právě jde o to, že logicky takhle není možno fotografovat ve hmotné sféře, není možno fotografovat něco, co existuje v astrální sféře nebo v mentální. To není možné.
In the material sphere, it is not possible to take snaps of something which exists only in the astral world or on the mental level.
Yes.
No, je možné fotografovat astrální bytost, která se impregnuje živlem země, aby se zhmotila, aby byla viditelná, a pak je ji možno fotografovat, jinak ne.
It is only possible to photograph a being which impregnates itself with the element of earth in order to be visible.
So it had to manifest before we could.
Takže se musí nejdříve manifestovat.
Manifestuje jistě, aby fotograf není možný fotografovat duchy, to jako to
It
neexistuje.
is not possible to photograph spirits.
Fotografování je hmotná záležitost a že to není astrální nebo to nejde.
Because taking photos is a material thing.
Něco jiného je, že může vidět něco asi mentálně v zrcadle, pak to přenést do svého vědomí a pak toho nakreslit nebo namalovat, nebo tak to jde, samozřejmě, ale nejde to fotografovat. Jako.
You can see something in the mirror, then you can transfer it into your mind and draw it, for example, but you cannot photograph it.
So you become the camera.
No. Já jsem viděl akorát...
Vy se stanete vlastně fotoaparatem.
No taky si to, že prostě to vidí a přenese to do svého vědomí a vzpomene si, jak to vypadalo a pak to může namalovat.
Yes, you can see it in the mirror, transfer it into your mind, remember it and recall it and then draw it on it.
Draw it. I understand.
Že to mohla prostě namalovat, protože jiná možnost není.
In the place where my father was living, there was a guest room, and in that room I saw three pictures of first salamanders, the beings of fire, sylphs, the beings of air, and gnomes, the beings of earth. But they were all painted by painter Irena Nováková from Prague. But I don't know how she painted it, whether my father instructed her or told her about it. I don't know exactly.
Museli to buď tak jak to je ve skutečnosti.
He had to induce her into it somehow or insert the picture into her mind.
I understand.
Jinak jsem neviděl další fotografie, jsem to viděl.
So at the time when my father was dating with my mother, he had a camera. To byla jaká značka? Voigtlander. And it had plates. It was a plate camera. And once I remember that he wanted to photograph some beings, and he had to be on a 3-month vegetarian diet in order to be able to quote them somehow. And then I saw a photo of a sylph who was completely naked, and I also saw a photo of water spirit and water, and but he was very small.
Oh my word! Amazing. What does Mr. Bardon think that his father would think of the changes that have happened in the world since his life? He would be the modern world. Would he be happy with how things have turned out?
Co myslíte, že byste...
Znal hodně nevýhod samozřejmě, ale...
When he was living, he appreciated the materialism a bit because many people didn't believe in these things, and they didn't persecute him.
Yeah.
To je tam právě ta místnostka nahoře.
I think
and on the picture of the house, you can see that small room
I see.
where he was living.
On tam kde cvičil.
And he did his exercises there.
And was the room set up especially for the exercises, or was it used for other purposes?
The room was very dark. It was painted in black, and there were some signs on the walls, but he was also sleeping there.
As well.
Na cvičení, no. Tak k tomu. No asi tak, toto jako až potom. Pak se ještě vrátíme k tomu, co bylo předtím.
My father was making medicals from herbs, and he mostly used homeopathy, which was not recognized here at that time. And when he was arrested, the police took all his medications, all his medicines, and had them tested. And they said they were ineffective absolutely because they didn't contain any healing
Chemicals, yeah.
materials.
To bylo většinou s alkoholem, jo? To bylo,
They were mostly with,
ty léky byly s alkoholem. No,
with
že to-
spirit.
Yeah.
On nechával kvasit na kádě, nechával kvasit byliny v tom, že? A jak byste, jestli to zvládnete,
Jste mě dostal.
překládat.
He put the
Velké
herbs
nádoby kádě a
in big containers and let them
flor.
boil or
Ferment.
ferment,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let them ferment.
Už je to zatím.
And then he made medicals of it. First of all, extracts, liquid extracts from herbs, which were influencing material body.
Srdce, která působila na mentální úroveň.
In order to create essence, which influenced the mental level.
Oh, I see.
No, to, co bylo ty zbytky těch bylin, tak to se usušilo, spálilo a ta esence se smíchala s tím popelem a vznikla takzvaná spagirická esence, která působila na astrál.
The rest of the herbs were dried and burnt, and they were mixed with the essence, takže ty spálené byliny se smíchaly s esencí.
Tyhle ty byliny, ten popel.
The ash was mixed with the essence,
Oh, I understand.
which created spagirická essence.
Spagirická.
Spagiric essence.
I see. So it's,
Kašický princip toho dotyčného.
So the essence was then heated up again and again for several hours, and the steam went back to the essence. And after several hours, a quintessence was created by this. The difference was that the original essence had no color or was white, while the quintessence was red, for example, and it didn't work only on the mental level, but also on the akasha.
Akasha. Akasha, tomu systému tato výroby.
And this whole system of the creation of the quintessence is called the wet way of the creation of the stone of wisdom. Or
this is,
is it the right term?
yeah,
Stone of wisdom.
yes, the philosopher's stone we call
Sorry?
it. The philosopher's stone we call it.
The
Philosophers.
the
Yeah.
philosopher's stone. Yes, the philosopher's stone.
Process of alchemy.
No.
Yeah.
Že to není jako kámen, není kámen, ale prostě to je energií. Jo.
As regards the healing itself, when he saw a person, he could immediately recognize what he needed, whether he needed to heal the mental level, the material, or so. And according to that, he chose the substance and the dosing. And it was not only that, but he also used Kabbalah in order to insert some thought into it.
I see. Which,
So it was not only the power of herbs that healed, but also
the energy.
yes, the energy he put into it.
Říká, já nevím, no, jestli my jsme se moc o tom nebavili, ale asi tak si myslím, že...
I don't know. I only know that he had a ring with a big stone. I can't translate its name into English, unfortunately. The stone is connected with the goddess Isis. Isis or Mahadevi. Možná, kdybyste tady ten kamer měli tygří oko, že byste. So we can show this stone to you because I don't know the English name.
Carnelian.
Let's have a look.
Oh,
Tigers?
Oh, that's tiger's, tiger's eyes.
Yes, it's tiger's eye. Yeah.
Okay.
Ah.
So like this. What was this connected with? I think we've seen a picture of him.
He had a ring with this stone, and it is connected with the goddess Isis, or Isis. I don't know what you call it in English, but I think it's a universal name of the goddess.
I see. The goddess Isis.
Isis. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Isis.
Or Mahadevi.
Oh, wonderful. And, was there a depiction of the? Does Mr. Bardon remember where the ring came from, or did it have a depiction of the goddess on it?
Odkud ten prsten pocházel, nebo jakým způsobem ho spojil?
Který byl dříve nějakým plnohodníkem nebo lidcem nebo něco, že kterému uvedla ruku na opuse, když to ryl, že...
He was also engraving talismans, and he probably didn't do it himself, but he was in contact with a being who used to be an expert in this field. And that person led his hand.
The automatic writing.
Yes, something automatic engraving or something like that.
I mean, we see the symbols in the practice of magical evocation at the back, and they're very mysterious looking and different coloured inks. And we often wonder in the West where these came from. Are these guided?
Ten systém uvolnění ruky, že se ruka nechá spadnout a proto...
He probably evoked the being and the being told him how to paint
Jsou
it.
to komplikované některé ty znaky, že...
Because some of the signs are really complicated.
A hlavně z té sféry sluneční, nebo to...
Especially from the solar sphere.
A nebo pak byla bytost tady té zemské sféry, to našemu nedají, nebo prostě tady tohle.
Or the being of the Earth's sphere.
The exercises in your father's books are so universal that they almost act like ink blot tests on people. Do you know ink blot test? The ink blot test is when a psychiatrist shows they put a blot of ink on a piece of paper and say, what does this look like?
Yes.
And people see whatever they want to see. So we have lots of people with their different theories to where these exercises came from. Some people believe they're the Hermetic mysteries from ancient Egypt put into a more modern language. Some people look at them and they can see they're definitely Tibetan, definitely come from Tibet. Some people look at them and they see a Kabbalistic formula or from Indian practice. What tradition did Franz Bardon feel most connected to? We talked a bit about Isis. Was it the Egyptian tradition, or he mentions Tibetan masters in his past lives?
Takže to cvičení Hermes Trismegistus was allegedly my father. I think it was connected with Egypt a lot.
Sorry to bring you back to this. I'm fascinated by these herbal remedies. Can Mr. Bardon remember if these remedies made by his father were connected with a specific element or planet? Whether the process he talked about was suitable for all different herbs, or whether it is combinations of herbs, or only specific ones that you could do this with?
Tak já bych se rád vrátil.
Určitě to bylo spojené tady s těmi.
It was certainly connected with the planets as well, but mostly it was connected with the four elements.
Another area which would be very exciting to know about is to do with the tarot. Mr. Bardon's father talked about the tarot being a means to learn rather than just for divination. And of course the tarot cards we see in his books are very different than any tarot cards you see anywhere else. I was wondering if there was a complete set, and whether his father used tarot cards and collected them himself, whether they were for meditative purposes or whether he did use them for divination or for other lessons.
Další věc, na kterou bych se ráda, že I saw the tarot card from the first book, painted by painter Irina Nováková, according to his ideas, and then the tarot card with the picture of the magician. The tarot card can look differently, but the content
The meaning
the meaning must be the same.
I understand. But do we know whether he owned any sets himself, or was this a sort of inspired thing?
Měl váš otec nějakou sadu karet, anebo jenom toto byly ty karty, které měl vnuknuty? I don't remember that he would ever have any cards at all. He didn't use them. That he kept correspondence with someone from Tibet and with someone from Australia. He was keeping those letters, and he was complaining about the situation in the Czech Republic in his letters. And when he was arrested later, the police found those letters, and they wanted to sue him as a traitor, but it never happened. The situation in 1950s was very tough here. I know one story when a bus driver told people, do not try to get into the bus like Russians into Afghanistan, and he was arrested for that.
Yes, it was a very terrible time. We've read about how
Prostě byli hrozný poměrník v tu dobu jako. A tož to tady škoda, o tom se baví, protože to bylo hrozný.
The situation was
nepředstavitelný.
so difficult, unimaginable, but it makes no sense to talk about it.
To me, it seems that Franz Bardon, his whole life was pushed towards helping others. He was very occupied with his herbs and his own development and teaching people. And he seemed very independent. It's very important. He was really making sure what he was doing was right. Whereas Crowley, you can see he's very much self-promoting and got some very different interests. I can see them as opposites. So it was just very surprising to sort of see that they might correspond.
Zdává mi zvláštní, že ti dva mohli být the connection between my father and Aleister Crowley. I only know that he translated some books, or it was a manual or an exercise book on the highest magic, and it was distributed by means of a very old system of copying books by using a diaphragm, and it's a very complicated system which I don't understand very much because it's not used anymore. But he also was asked to publish a book concerning the magic of
starogermánské runy.
Old Germanic science.
Yes, I think we may have seen these notebooks.
And what are
runes.
Runes, yes.
And there was
runes.
Yeah.
And but I discussed it with Dr. MK whether I should do that or not. These are old Germanic symbols, and some of them were used by the Nazis. So they are connected with negative energy.
Yeah.
And Dr. MK recommended me not to publish it because it could damage the person who would practice it.
because of the force behind the
yeah,
symbols
so
has
in
changed.
the end I didn't use it. And Mr. Bardon also mentioned the 99 Lodge,
Yes.
because Hitler was also a member of this lodge,
Yes.
and 99 lodges of this kind existed across the world,
Yes.
and they were always presided by a demon.
Že tohle, ty loži po světě 99, že a tímto způsobem jako funguje, že tam byl teda i ten Baťa, že, anebo prostě Tomáš Baťa, mimo jiné, mimo jiných samozřejmě.
Tomáš Baťa is said to be a member of this lodge.
V jedné té loži taky byl, no. Čili takhle to byly ty lože, které vlastně, no a tam jsou i ty černé lože, těch tibetských mnichů a tak dále, takže to patří tady k tomu, že, čili...
And there are also the black lodges of Tibetan monks.
Yes.
Takže ta runová magie zatím to by si mohli poškodit, to zatím to jako raději ne.
So for the time being it's better not to practice the rune magic because it could be harmful.
This rune magic, it was a unique system when you put your body into rune shapes like yoga. I think we've seen a notebook which has got his father's drawings in there. Did his father practice any other form of yoga or physical exercise disciplines?
My jsme viděli obraz.
Prožít tu jeho karmu toho těla, že, čili všechny ty problémy, které měl starosti.
So each kind of yoga is unilateral, is directed only in one way, but his system is universal, it is for everybody. Once my father wanted to know his future, and when he got to know about it, he had a really hard job to forget it, because if he didn't forget it, he wouldn't be able to live with it, he wouldn't manage it. So therefore it is better not to know your future. When he took over the body of Franz Bardon at the age of 14, he had to take over also all his future problems and so on.
Karma.
No ještě taková jedna věc je, třeba
There are small mistakes in his books, and they are made on purpose, because each student of his books should find it himself what's wrong and what's not. But these mistakes are only small. Dr. M.K. wanted to reveal them, but he was given prohibition from above. So everybody should find it himself. For example, some things are attributed to a certain element in the book, and it's not like that. It works differently.
I understand.
No, taky jednak otec.
Each character feature can be manifested in various elements, not only in one, but in 3 elements at a time, for example. It works differently in each element, but it's not only in one.
I see. So you could be lazy because you're like earth, you're too solid and too still, or you could be lazy because you're too much like water and just flow into whatever is the easiest thing at the time.
Takže může to být například líný, protože so each character feature has 2 aspects. One is the aspect of quality, and the other is the aspect of quantity, the strength of the character feature. And my father used to say that it's not good to remove all your negative features, because if you remove all your negative features, you become a saint, but you don't achieve anything. So it's good to have negative features as well, but they should be balanced, because you train your will this way.
To keep they're there, they serve a purpose.
Takže oni mají určitý účel.
Ano, stále přítěž, že?
Yes, because the magic mirror should show both your pluses and your minuses, and you should control your minuses and intensify your pluses. But if they are too strong, for example, if you like to tidy up things, it can become a negative character feature as well.
So that's the quantity.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my wife would like me to have a little bit more of that quantity, tidying up things.
Já myslím, že moje žena má trošku větší kvantitu této vlastnosti.
The exercises, perhaps the challenges for people who are practicing Mr. Bardon's father's system have changed in the time when Franz Bardon was alive. The main challenges were oppression and prejudice from people and persecution. Yeah, but in the time when Franz Bardon was alive, people persecuted people for practicing Hermetics. Now the challenges may be a little bit different in the modern world, where we're used to things happening quickly. We order a book and we want it to come the next day, and we've got email, so we'd have to wait for letters, and we've got so much information feeding into us. So concentration exercises, and perhaps even that, having that time and that discipline to keep going is a different challenge. And I wonder if Mr. Bardon can remember any of the advice his father gave to his students, whether some herbal remedies were used, whether there was anything that he could pass on for people who are practicing the system, which they could use to. Do you know what I mean about the new challenges for this?
Therefore, Mr. MK wanted to remain anonymous.
To by ho zdržovalo prostě ve vývoji, že všechno to ostatní.
It would hinder him from progress.
Absolutely. I visited a spiritual master in Japan, and there were so many Americans there that the town was overrun all the time, and they were getting drunk and dropping litter and causing chaos, and I thought this is not good. This is not good. But I suppose financially it was probably good for that village there. But it's important people do know about Bardon's work. So I think we've got to get people interested, and one of the side effects of that may be that you get more visitors.
Já jsem navštívil v Japonsku jednoho duchovního mistra. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like more visitors.
I think I think perhaps Japan is a lot closer to America than we are here, so I think he's more safe.
Možná, že Japonsko je mnohem blíže k Americe a Česká republika je bezpečnější.
Nevím, vím, že teda Japonci chtěli mě pomoci, že chtěli vydat kabalu.
I know that the Japanese wanted to publish the Kabbalah.
That would be interesting.
Že snad chtěli vydat kabalu, jestli k tomu ještě nedošlo. Myslím, že měli zájem na tu kabalu.
They were interested in it, but I think it didn't happen yet.
I think initiation to Hermetics would be more understandable to the Japanese. The Japanese do a lot of meditation, and they have hand positions, which make the elements. They use the 5 elements. But Kabbalah and evocation may be a little bit culturally different.
Oni by asi měli blíže. If you haven't managed the initiation to Hermetics, it doesn't make any sense to concentrate on Kabbalah, because the meditations there are so complicated, and they are on 3 levels, so it doesn't make any sense to focus on it. Mr. Bardon cites the Bible in Old Slavonic. I don't know the exact quotation, but it sounds like at the beginning there was a word.
Yeah. God was the word.
Yes, you certainly know that beginning.
Yeah. But in this case, with the Kabbalah, that's at the end. We move on to the word.
V tomhle případě kabala je až vlastně na konci.
Ano, no, není na konci, je třetí. Že pak je kniha moudrosti, čtvrtá, pak je alchymie, pátá, pak dál to ještě pokračuje. Ty arkány, že jsou ty velký teda tajemství a pak jsou tam malá, že? Čili to všechny tarotové karty mají něco jako pod sebou.
Kabbalah is the third. Then comes the Book of Wisdom, then comes Alchemy, and all the big tarot cards, and after them small tarot cards.
Let's talk about the first tarot card. Let's talk about initiation into Hermetics. This book in itself is a complete system. Is it not? You could really spend a lifetime just with those exercises.
Pojďme si povídat o první knize o brání k opravdovému zasvěcení. Tato kniha je velmi složitá, člověk může strávit celý život jejím praktikováním.
No, on musí dojít nakonec k správnému cíli.
That's right,
no,
he doesn't have to go to the end.
Jakmile se ale do toho jednou dá, takže pak v příštím životě se zase k tomu vrátí, takže to, co už v tomto životě zažil nebo něco, tak k tomu se dostane zase pak v příštím životě.
But when he starts doing these exercises, then he returns to it in his future life, in his next life.
Pokud neprovede nějakou karmickou zátěž příliš velkou, že by to teda muselo píkat nebo to něco.
If he doesn't have a big karmic burden or he doesn't make a big mistake.
Yes. Is there any advice Mr. Bardon has for people who are practicing these exercises, and can you remember any advice his father gave his students?
I know only Dr. MK who got really far, but the others got only to the second level, and the circle in Prague was only discussing the magic balance.
Já jsem to říkal mnoho povolaných a málo vyvolených nebo obráceně.
Mnoho povolaných, málo vyvolených.
Nevím, myslím, že nevím. Takhle to nějak je, ale nevím.
There is a Czech proverb saying something like there are many who are called to a certain thing, but only a few of them are really chosen.
No, asi vyvolený, no. No, povolaný, málo vyvolený, ano. Takže proto jako určitou dobu, že než se z toho dostane, se z toho pro určité bytosti.
He was warning the students, especially against the pacts or contracts with the beings, and not only the demons, but also with the light beings, because it is not possible to get out of it later once you close it. Well, he has to control the being and not the being himself. And he can only manage this at the end of the first book, because the being can give him some character features he hasn't achieved yet, but the being then wants him to pay back.
I understand, but he himself hasn't changed. He's become reliant on someone else. With these exercises, can Mr. Bardon remember any times where perhaps Dr. MK got stuck or needed some help or made some mistakes?
Vzpomínáte si, že by doktor MK třeba...
Ta jeho síla rostla, rozumíte, že to jako z toho důvodu, že...
He didn't help him at all. He was making it harder. He was making some obstacles for him in order to improve him.
No třeba on přišel, to nebylo tak jako
for example,
to bylo velice tvrdý pro něho.
Mr. MK visited my father. They didn't get to Hermetics from the very beginning, but he was asked to paint the window frames, for example, and he didn't tell him anything, he just insinuated a bit. So it was really hard for Dr. MK.
This this helping him by making obstacles to just carry on throughout his whole time he was a student.
A to ty překážky vlastně mu otec vytvářel po celou dobu, co byl studentem?
Prostě tvrdil tohle.
My father used to say that there is no obstacle you cannot overcome. So you don't have to go directly, you can go around, but you have to overcome it somehow. And if there are no obstacles in life, then it's bad, because it means that the other side is not interested in you. And so there are some laws that if there is an action, there is a reaction. And if you don't have any obstacles, it's not good for you.
Oh yes, I remember Dr. MK saying that whenever something bad happened, it reminded him that divine providence hadn't forgotten him.
Sorry?
I think in the memories, Dr. MK says that whenever something bad happened, it reminded him that divine providence hadn't forgotten him.
Ano. Doktor MK říkal, že vždycky, když se mu stalo něco zlého,
Stalo se mu to, že všechno je dobře, tak říkal, že je to špatně. Když se všechno velice dařilo, takže to je špatně.
He used to say that when everything was going well and nothing was happening, nothing bad was happening, he used to say it's bad. It's about a balance. So when Mr. MK wanted to achieve something, he had to get really down in order to get the energy, because only if you get down, you get up. If you get up, you get the energy.
I understand. Yeah. So he needed to face a bit like we were saying earlier on, that you don't want to get rid of all your negative qualities. You don't want to get rid of all the challenges in the world, and getting over things is how we learn to get up. That's kind of
ano, takže překonáváním tady těch překážek a výzev se vlastně dostáváme nahoru.
Roste ta intenzita. To znamená, že to si můžete zkusit, jak daleko. Jak daleko asi to je od vás, že? No.
The quality is, on the other hand, the mysticism. And the book combines both the mysticism and the magic, the quality and the quantity. So if you want to be good in mysticism, you also need the strength. And the strength around an ordinary person is about 1 meter from his body. And my father said that he was able to create the strength of about 10 meters around his body.
And this is through the practice of the pore breathing and...
Pomocí dýchání.
No, pomocí dýchání samozřejmě, že...
Yes, he did it by means of breathing. But it is not possible to increase it only by breathing. You have to reduce it then, so that your blood pressure doesn't rise. And you have to keep the balance, so that you have to increase it on both astral and mental level.
I understand. With these exercises, it seems to me that the intention was that these would be the templates of our practice, but you were to make your exercises your own. You're meant to find your own way, adapt them to your own individuality. It seems to me that from reading memories that Dr. MK's practice varied slightly from the way it was put exactly in this book. So I was wondering if a student should do the exercises exactly as said, or whether he should adapt them for his individuality, find his own way of achieving the results.
Já jsem měl pocit, že ta cvičení, everybody should adjust it to his personal needs, because there are many religions and everybody is different and can choose what he needs. But this is a universal religion, in fact. This is a direct book, but a very difficult one. And if somebody thinks that some exercises can be managed in a week, then this is an illusion.
Yes. Dr. MK's practice, do we think it was influenced by the age he was taught from? Because he started very, very early, didn't he?
Yes, he was starting very young, and at that time he was going regularly to church. And his father told him that he should get out of it because he needed some negative character features as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you talked about how long these exercises take. I think anyone who has persisted with these exercises finds quite quickly it does take many years to master some of the harder meditations and exercises. How long should a student expect to take, and how should he keep himself motivated if he finds himself disappointed if he hasn't got an exercise after a few years' practice?
He should want it, first of all, because there are 4 principles. First of all, he should want it, then he should have the will, then he should have the courage, and then keep it for himself. And if he is disappointed, if he leaves the exercises, it means that he doesn't want it enough.
And this protects the mysteries on those who aren't ready.
Takže to vlastně chrání ta mystéria před těmi, kdo nejsou připraveni.
Ano, jistě, tak to je právě to, že pak dál nemůže. To se prostě zarazí a tím to končí. Že, no, tak je to prostě to určitým způsobem vyštěný, že tady ta cesta, takže to jako...
He cannot continue, so this way is secured this way.
To samé, jak je poštátel a pak vzniká z toho strach. Takže to není.
The release of the mental body out of your material body is also secured. There is a being who supervises it. Because if you are not ready for that and you release your mental body, you get fear, and the return is terrible for you. So therefore it is secured.
To může dojít třeba působením droga nebo tak je to pak špatné.
Specifically, when you are practicing the negative state, it can happen to you that your mental body leaves your astral body, and they are connected only via the matrix. And you can, for example, see your body on bed, and you are outside of it.
And that's when the daring comes in. So, Mr. Bardon talked about 4 important qualities: the ability to know, to dare, to will, and of course to stay silent. The first 3, I think most people would understand about instantly. We understand why we need to know what to do. We understand why you need to dare, because we're talking about some of these experiences could be challenging or scary or bring you up against your own negative qualities. Will is really obvious. Could you tell me a little bit about the quality of silence and why that's important?
Jste mluvil o těch 4. Dr. MK was explaining it as follows: if you have a hat and go on the street, and there is a group of people going against you, you have to take the hat off so as not to be too visible, and then you can put it on again. But it's a kind of active silence, and that's what my father practiced, because he looked like an ordinary man, and it was good for him.
Okay, I think we'll just end with one more question. What would Mr. Bardon say is the one quality that a Hermetic student should focus on cultivating in themselves?
The main quality.
Yeah. Most important thing.
Kterou vlastnost považujete za nejdůležitější, na kterou by se student hermetiky měl zaměřit?
Myslím, že se nejedná o jednu vlastnost. Jako to nelze.
It is not only one quality.
Nelze tohle. No, důležité je, aby když člověk začne co dělat, tak aby to dělal, pořád nepřestával a takhle, že?
The most important thing is when you start doing something, you should go on and you shouldn't leave it.
Persistence.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Moc krát děkuji.
Let's have some lunch.
Půjdeme na ten oběd. Tak já vás na ten oběd.
Okay.
Mrs. Iveta doesn't want to go for lunch.